Welcome everyone to the Canarian International Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Mossy and I am an alcoholic.
And my name is Mick and I also am an alcoholic, serving as your secretaries today. Please join us for a few moments silence to remember the still suffering alcoholic inside and outside this meeting.
And Steve is going to read the preamble for us there.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Steve. I'm an alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other so they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. AA has no dues or fees. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation, or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And a warm welcome goes out to any newcomers or anyone returning back to Alcoholics Anonymous.
The chat is now disabled until the end of the meeting, except for the meeting host. If you feel the meeting is at risk at any time, please private message to the co-host. They will check it out.
And that's it, folks. As you know, today is our old timers meeting, and you're in for a treat this evening. So get the popcorn ready, guys. We have the Hickin Brothers and son joining us this evening to do the main share. You've got whatever time it takes each to do with you, 10 or 15 minutes, whatever suits. So at that, I met these guys over in Akron and talk about a beautiful family. And the welcome they gave me, there was no choice, but I had to have them speaking for us. So at that, I'll hand it over to you, Tom. Tom is 55 years sober. He's the elder of the group, and the baby of the group is celebrating 43 years today, and he'll be finishing up for us this evening. Tom, take it away. Do your thing.
All right, Mossy, thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for spending time with us when you were here in Akron, and you had the privilege of speaking at the first AA meeting at King's School. And what a great job that was. But anyhow, I've always started my pitches in the same way, and that is by telling you, my name is Tom Hickin. I'm an alcoholic, and by the grace of God and living in a fellowship called Alcoholics Anonymous, I have been able to stay sober for over 55 years. I have a brother, Mike, who has been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for over 54 years. I have a brother, Jack, who has been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for another 2 weeks. It'll be 50 years. I have a brother, Paul, who has been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for 46 years. And I have a brother, Wayne, who has been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for over 45 years. And if he makes it to the end of the month, he'll have 46 years on the 29th of August. And my nephew, Paul Jr., is sober today, 43 years. And the beautiful thing about that is that he is 60 years old. So he came in when he was 17, and he has made this journey for the last 43 years, and he's been a great value to his companions, and it's the people that he works with. But I just want to tell you briefly a little bit of our history. There was us 5 boys and my mom and dad, those 7 people that lived on McCully Road in Stowe, Ohio. If someone could tell you in great detail of how we lived in the 1950s and 1960s, and then left it up to you to write the end of the story, surely any reasonable person would say, out of those 7 people, a couple met some violent end. A couple would be incarcerated for life. But there's no way that any reasonable person could ever imagine the miracle that Alcoholics Anonymous brought into our lives. Would those of you care to join me in the serenity prayer? God, Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. That old house on Macaulay Road had that lived-in look. If any of you come from a place like that, there wasn't one room in the house that didn't have a hole in the wall the size of a fist, a foot, an elbow, a head, or something. You could tell there was a lot of living going on in there. My brother Mike and Wayne and my dad played the guitars, the banjos. Jack and Paul and I did a lot of grinning, but we would celebrate the grand opening with a new pack of cigarettes, go get 4 or 5 cases of beer and a couple of fists of whiskey, and we would sit in to entertain ourselves. And we did. We laughed, we joked, we could sing songs. We could sing every hillbilly song that was ever written. Some hadn't been written yet, but we just had a good time. You could tell that there was a lot of love in our house. The only problem is we could never buy enough the first time out. And when we went to get more, when more came back, trouble always came with it. And, the supply was limited. We were selfish. And someone would touch someone else's drink and then they would get hit, slapped, scratched, bit, kicked. There was always something going on. And sometimes we'd have guests in and we would fight with them instead of each other. But our place on Macaulay Road was very recognizable. It was one with black streaks up and down the road in front of our driveway, because whenever you left our house, you were always in a hurry or you were trying to escape, one or the other. But anyhow, that's the way life was on the farm when we were qualifying. But I want to turn this over to my nephew Paul, who everybody's extremely proud of his success in what he shares in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous as he celebrates 43 years of sobriety. So I'm going to give you my nephew Paul.
Thanks, Mike. Thomas. Thanks, Thomas.
Hi, I'm Paul Hickin. I'm an alcoholic.
Paul, before you start, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you, Mossy. Thank you for sending me this coin. I appreciate that. Thank you for remembering me. It was an honor to meet you. I mean, just talking to you. I don't want to take up all these guys' time. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. This is odd for me. I like in-person meetings. I like being able to touch, and that's my thing. When the COVID happened, it blessed us with Zoom. But I found out that I need the rooms because that's where God shows himself to me. In the recovery, in how people change. My first memory, my Uncle Tom and my grandfather had just gotten back from Florida. Before I forget, today's my grandfather's birthday. And when he died in 1988, he had 12 years of continuous sobriety. So I pray for him for that. But Uncle Tom and Grandpa just got back from Florida. They gave my dad a bullwhip. And I have that bullwhip today. It's a memory of my first memory that was fear. Fear ran my life for a long time. And until I came into the fellowship, then was introduced into the program, 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and learned about my fears. When I had a couple resentments too, not too many at 17. And I was at a meeting this morning in Akron here, and the guy was talking about how he didn't have any consequences. I've never had a legal drink in my life, but I had all sorts of mental consequences. My consequences were right here, and not knowing my God. So when I came in the program in '82, I was caught in school doing something I shouldn't have done. So they gave me ultimatums, and I went into treatment. And the biggest thing I learned in that treatment facility was about judgment. Today, when I get down on my knees in the morning to ask God for the knowledge of his will for me, I know that I have no room to judge anyone else of where they're at, what they're doing, because I'm still asking, I'm still looking for his will for me. I know basically the text, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, tells me that I'm supposed to help. And that's just not in the rooms, that's everywhere. When I do that, I know I'm of service to my God. My prayer life is huge for me today. I pray throughout the day, and it's just communication, just talking. I love the peace that I get from that, and knowing that I'm doing the best that I can do. When family, I'm going to go there because these guys, I've watched them, pretty much my whole life. So, but watching them change, watching how they change and grow, and how they work this program, how they use the fellowship. They're a great example for me, and I'm blessed to be a part of the family. These guys, Tuesday mornings, they either golf or eat breakfast together, and they have friends with them. Uncle Tom had mentioned my friends. I'm blessed. When I help a new person, I hope a friendship comes out of that. If it doesn't, that's okay. He's finding his own way. As long as he's sober and working with somebody, I'm good with that. As long as he's working the steps. And that's the key for me. I try and go through the steps every year. And just to clarify it with myself. So with no more from me, I want to thank you again for being here. Mossy, good to see your face, my friend. And who am I turning over to? Me. I'm turning it over to my Uncle Wayne. Thank you. Peace to you.
Thanks, Paul.
Hi, Mossy.
Wayne,
It's
you're
good to
welcome.
see you again. It's good
see you, sir.
be able to share what we have, what we've learned with people in the world that don't get the opportunity, the chance to come and see us and visit us and stuff like you did. Usually I have a routine that I go through, and I talk about my wife and my children. I talk about my brothers, my dad and my brothers. Those guys were such pains in the butt when I was growing up. I'm the youngest of them. I'm the baby, right? And the thing is my mom always used to say, "Oh, don't abuse the baby," But these guys, as soon as mom and dad were gone, oh, they used to treat me terrible. Absolutely. They wouldn't let me drink with them. They wouldn't let me have any of their booze or anything. It was absolutely disgusting. So that was, and Tom pretty much explained the way that we were drinking wise. And I know that when through their example, that's why I'm here today, is because I saw how their lives had changed through Alcoholics Anonymous. I was still drinking. Tom came in 70, and I suffered for another 9 years before I came, almost 9.5 years before I came in this program. And it's absolutely been beautiful for me. It's just unbelievable the way that my life has changed, the way that my life is today and stuff. So a lot of times I talk about the first meeting that I went to, which happened to be on a Thursday, August 29th in Stowe. And my dad and my brothers were there. I didn't stand up when they asked if there was any new people, but the guy that had spoke that night impressed my heart and my mind. And on the way out, I asked my dad if I could still be in the program. And he said, as long as I was willing to submit to the principles of the AA program. And oh my goodness, was that ever great? I'll tell you, it just my life changing, it absolutely life changing and stuff. So, it didn't take me long. I don't know. I started referring to my dad and brothers as the committee because the committee was kind of directing my life, where I was going and what I was doing. And I don't know what my brother Mike did to make the committee mad, but he was assigned to be my sponsor. And Mike and I are the closest in age. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But at any rate, so Mike started taking me around to the meetings. So, I learned about the 4 absolutes of honesty, unselfishness, purity, and love. I got to talk to some of the old timers. I mean, the guys that came in the late 30s and 40s, in the program and get information for them. I wished I could have picked their brains more. I think about that now after 45 years of sobriety, that I should have picked their brains a little bit more. But, I didn't. That's something that happened in the past and stuff. Talking about the 12 steps, the 12 steps have really changed my life. I was miserable and discontent all the time that I drank. But, when I came into programs, the program isn't easy. It's hard. It's hard to stay sober, and it's hard to get sober right off of the bat and stuff. But those 12 steps, if you apply those 12 steps to your life every day, then you're going to get better. And the other thing is the idea with the big book. I went to a 7:45 this morning. I have a big book discussion that I go to every Saturday morning. And, it's just amazing. I just, to study that big book and to look at that big book, some of the things I know I have to have a spiritual life, and I learned that spiritual life through studying of the big book and working those 12 steps into my life, and God is awful important in my life. I know that, as long as I put God first, I get on my knees first thing in the morning and I pray. And in those prayers, I ask for his guidance and help through the day. And to me, that's probably one of the most important things that I could do to stay sober, is to be able to ask God for all that help and in my life, and I'm going to tell you. And so in closing, I just have a few lines from the 23rd Psalm. So I don't know if you have the availability to get that or not, but so it starts off, it says, "The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want." And when I say that, I truly mean that, God is in charge of my life. The thing is like Paulie had said, I pray often throughout the day. Anytime I got a few minutes of spare time, I'm reflecting to God and asking for his guidance and help, and I know that as long as I'm willing to try to do his will, that, surely goodness and mercy is going to follow me all the days of my life. And to me, that's important, So I'd like to also talk about, the importance of Dr. Bob and Bill, because the fact is that, if it wasn't for Bob and Bill getting together, that was a God thing in itself. Where would we be today? Dr. Bob talked about the two most important things with the love and service that we could give in this program. Bill talked about his three legacies of recovery, unity, and service, which as we recover, we come to these units, we get into these units, the meetings and stuff, and the service is given away, learning what we've learned through other alcoholics, and we can serve others by giving it away. Service is love in action. That's the way that I look at it. Today, I know that I'm responsible. If anyone anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand of AA to always be there. And for that, I am responsible. And I'll give you my brother, Paul.
Thanks.
Hello, Mossy.
Paul, you're welcome.
I'm Paul Hickin. I'm father of the boy that spoke first. And what a gift that's been for us. For me to come into AA program, I needed a lot of help. I wasn't a violent drinker. I wasn't I never had any problems. I might have bumped a car or two, but nothing. But I knew, well, I just got laughed at because I got married in the hospital because I had an accident. And I was transported to the hospital 2 days before the wedding, and my wife and I got married in the hospital. And that was 63 years ago. So that young lady should have knew what she was getting into. Anyhow, that's the way it started out. And we have a wonderful relationship today, simply because of the Alcoholics Anonymous program. What a gift that's been to us. And we have a wonderful family. We just got our first great-grandchild. And, I want to be an example of what a life is without alcohol, or drugs. That's a big part of our lives today. And, being in the program with the younger people, we have an opportunity to help a lot of them young people, not alcoholic, but with the drugs. So we have to be living examples of what God intended us to be. So, we've been gifted, we've been blessed, we've been guided. And this program, knowing the people that we've been with all these years. And I remember all these old guys and all these young guys, all the young women, all the women that grew up with us. What a gift that's been to look back and see that. I was at a meeting this morning. There was a lady I've known for probably 30 years. And she says, Paul, it's good to see you. And, I felt the same way. And that's what we are to one another. We're reminders of what sobriety is. And sobriety is a blessing from the Father. And that's the way we have to look at it. And we've been guided to go where we're going. We just have to follow that. And, through this program, and we meet people every meeting we go to, we meet people that guide us, and we meet people that we guide. And, that's a blessing from the Almighty. We have to follow that. And like I said, my wife and I have been married 63 years. We got our first great grandchild. And, where would I be today if I hadn't come into AA? Where would I be today? What a gift that's been. I want to thank all of you for what you do to help other people and what you do to help yourself. God bless you and have a good day. I'm giving you my brother, Jack.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, here I am. My name's Jack Hickin, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jack.
I just can't believe what's going on here today. It's just what a privilege. And starting life out, I had problems. High school, I was drunk too many times. I got thrown in detention home a couple of times. I wasn't allowed to graduate because I showed up to the practice drunk. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and the Marines, same thing. I get drunk and in a little trouble, they throw me in the brig. I got to spend 4 months in the brig, so I got my time extended. But I got out of the Marine Corps, came home, and I had this 57 Chevy. Well, I'll tell you a quick thing about leaving South Carolina. I bought 5 gallons of moonshine to bring home to share with my family. Well, I don't ever remember getting home. The next thing I remember, I'm taking a little nap in my aunt and uncle's front yard, and this friend of mine came by and he woke me up and he said, "Hey, Jack, your girlfriend's looking for you." I said, "Well, I just got home a couple of days ago." He said, "No, you've been home a week." So I didn't know nothing. That's the way I drank. And the cops picked on me a lot, threw me in jail a lot. And that, so my next great treat was flying my 57 Chevy. The police report said I got up 42 feet off the ground, crash landed, ended up in the hospital. I was in there for 3.5 months, and I met this sweet little nurse. And she later told me that the doctor said, "There ain't no way this guy's going to live through this," but I did. And after I got out, I started dating her. We got married, had 6 kids in 5 years, and my drinking got switched around quite a little bit at that time. And it was creating a problem with her because she was trying to figure out how she was going to live life and take care of 6 kids and get rid of me. Well, thank God, Brother Tom and Mike were in this program, and she was telling me how much their life is changing, and I could change mine if I came here. So one day I give them a call and talked about the program a little bit with them, and they took me to meetings, and my sweet mother told Tom and Mike that they both had to be my sponsor because I was a genuine headache and one of them couldn't handle it all. But that's when life started changing. I was here for a while, and they told me when we first went to meetings to keep my mouth shut and my ears open. So I did that, and I started to accept the idea that I was an alcoholic. They told me to incorporate them 12 steps into your life. And when I started doing that, I was able to make some changes, and that was going well for me. And after a while, I accepted being an alcoholic, and I knew how to handle that was go to meetings, incorporate these steps into my life, and that God would take care of me. And he sure has for almost 50 years now, a couple weeks. And I just can't believe the place I'm at today because of this great program. It's been so good. And I thank my God for them two brothers that showed me the way, and, you know, the fellowship that taught me how to live life on life's terms and to enjoy it. And that's what I do today. And I like to give you my brother Mike.
Thanks so much.
Mossy, thank you. It's so great to be here today. And I got all this to my daughter Rosemary is the one that's made this all possible today. And so I think you got to talk to Rosie a little bit anyhow. But it's great being sober. And I just, you know, I heard a man this morning talk about never being picked up for drunk driving, was never picked up for put in jail or anything. And all I can think of is the only requirement for sobriety is, you know, don't take that first drink. You know, we don't have to drink. That's all the requirements is. We don't have to been in jail or picked up or anything else. And I remember my first drunk. I'll tell you about that, and then I'll get on with the rest of my life. I was 14 years old. I got drunk out in an apple orchard. I don't know when I got home. I know when I woke up in the morning, I was in bad shape. I was hurting. My head was aching. I was hung over something horribly. And the only thought that come into my mind was, gee, what didn't I have a good time? And where that thought could have possibly came from, I have no idea. It's only an alcoholic that would have that thought. On the 30th of July, my dad was taking me to jail, down to the county jail, and I had my last drink of whiskey. Laid around in jail that weekend, not a lot to do, you know. So I put the blame where the blame belonged, and it was on alcohol. And after getting out of jail and getting straightened away a little bit, my brother Tom took me under his arm, and we went to meetings. We went to a lot of meetings. I didn't have no driver's license, and Tom would drive 5 or 6 miles out of his way every day to take me to a meeting. And the thing that I learned in the very beginning was I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous. I loved the people that was there, and everywhere I went. You know, I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous. And I found out that there was some really beautiful things, these 4 absolutes and these 12 steps. And there was an old gentleman all the time used to say, are you ever grateful enough? And I think in my heart today, you know, am I grateful enough? I am grateful for what I have today. And me and these boys are really blessed, Mossy. And our families and what have you, you know. But without Alcoholics Anonymous, we would not be here today. We would have no recourse for probably institution, jail, or something like that, or the grave. So we are very fortunate to be here today, to be able to talk to you, and it's really wonderful. And you know, we got a bit of Irish in us anyhow. You know, my grandmother was Irish, so we got a little Irish in us, and but it's great staying sober, and it's really wonderful. And I was so glad to see you here when you was here. It was really a wonderful thing. So, and I'd like to end this with a little Irish prayer that I heard long time ago. Someone told me it was an Irish prayer. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me later. But here it goes. May the road rise up to meet you, and may the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall softly upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God bless you and keep you in the palm of his hand. And I will give you Tom. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Okay, Monty, I'm back again to tell you a little of my own personal story in recovery and Alcoholics Anonymous. What a gift this has been. And I was, in this family I was raised up with. I tell people all the time today that, when you see us 5 boys, they're absolute proof that God does change lives through Alcoholics Anonymous. There was one time where my dad had a friend over at the house, and us boys were standing out in the backyard, and we had no shirt, no shoes, just a pair of jeans on. And the guy looked and he said, "Tony, that's a nice looking bunch of boys you got there." My dad looked at him, looked at us. He said, "They're just a cut above savages." That was the way we acted and lived, beginning early in life. But anyhow, I grew up real quick. I went in the service in my early 20s, and I lived in Germany for 2 years. I came home and I wasn't home very long, and I met this pretty little brown-eyed girl, and I fell in love, and I wanted to get married. And so Carol went to school with my brothers, and she knew our family, but she didn't know me. But she thought that her love could change me, and I believed her. I thought it could too. In fact, I know it did, because the day I said I do, I switched from a wild, belligerent, don't give a damn drunk to an "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get drunk. I switched from being a daily drinker to being a periodic. And looking back in the rearview mirror, I know that probably 95% of the time that I took a drink, I wound up in a total blackout where I didn't know who I was or where I was. But by the grace of God, we were only married for 7 years, and I stumbled into this God-given fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what a gift it's been, not only to me and my family, but my brothers and their families. My dad, he got sober after a while. He is the one that got us started, but he bounced in and out of the program for 6 years. But he was sober for 12 years when he died on the 28th day of November in 1988. But my wife's uncle, took me to my first meeting. I had went to a meeting with my dad in 1969, and a friend of mine was there. I just went to accompany him. I didn't think I had a problem, but this guy's wife said to me, "Tom, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm with my dad. He's an alcoholic, And so she said, "Just be grateful you don't have that problem." And I said, "Oh, last thing in the world I want to be is an alcoholic." But the man who spoke that night, he didn't live the way I lived. He didn't drink the way I drank. Came from totally different circumstances than myself. But I could identify so much with the way he felt that I could almost anticipate what he was going to say next. And I walked away that night with a different point of view. I didn't declare myself an alcoholic, but for the first time in my adult life, I went through the Christmas and New Year's holidays without drinking. And I went for the longest time that I'd ever gone with, I'd went for like 6 weeks without a drink. And I had my last drink on January 27th, 1970. And I don't know how I came home that night. I must have made some noise in the driveway, and my wife met me at the door with a look of terror in her eyes. We didn't speak, but the next day, my wife's uncle, who was a longtime member of the fellowship, called and asked me if I wanted to go to a meeting. And I thought, oh crap, she turned me in. But, he picked me up and he took me to that King's School meeting, showed me around. The next night, he took me to the Stowe Thursday night meeting where we saw you again. And then it was there, he gave me his little booklet about the size of a book of matches with all the meetings. And there was 33 meetings in the Akron area at that time. And he said, "There it is, boy, if you want it, go get it." And, I'm thinking, go get what? But for some reason, the next Saturday night, I walked back into that Cuyahoga Falls Saturday night meeting, and I've been going back ever since. You see, for me, Tom Hickin, staying sober in Alcoholics Anonymous has been one of the simplest things I've ever done in my life. I don't mean by any stretch of the imagination that working the 12 steps or practicing the 4 absolutes in our daily affairs is easy or simple, but when you live in Alcoholics Anonymous, it all becomes very easy for us to keep another day at a time. And that pretty little brown-eyed girl that I met in 1961, we're going to be married the 8th of September, will be 63 years. We have 4 beautiful children. Our oldest son is a priest, and we have 3 other kids with families. We have 14 grandkids and 11 great grandkids, and life is real good now. And but I'd like to share with you a little bit of the reason for my hope. I have got, because of my living sober, I've been blessed to be able to go to church almost every day, and that's helped me with how I look at things, the things I expect or don't expect. I have a reason for the things that go on in my life today, and I know that God is the most important thing. I think where Bill wrote in that 5th chapter when he said, "There is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now." And I think that's one of, I heard it for years and I read it over and over, but I don't know, about 10 or 20 years ago, I read it with the punctuation, and I saw it had a exclamation point after that. And I knew that must be pretty important. So I have been practicing in my life. I also know that, that God never, ever tires of forgiving us. And the most important person we have to forgive is the one we see in the mirror. That enlightens our life. And I believe that I have a great devotion to our Saint Faustina and the Divine Mercies. And I believe that one of the things I read every day, that the only thing that is exclusively yours is your own misery. And if you offer God your miseries, he will give you his divine mercy. I talk a lot of time to newer people in the program and younger folks, and they tell me, "You have no idea how hard my life has been." And I agree with them. I don't know how hard their life has been, but I quickly tell them, I can tell you how miserable your future will be if you don't arrest your addiction right now. You may not want what I have, and you may not want what we have, but in the loneliness of your own heart, you really want what you have. They look a little sad when they walk away because they don't want what they have. And that, for us who have been living sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for a long period of time, it seems so simple, but it's still, our sobriety is based on our condition today. Today is still the most important day that I have. That 55 and a half years doesn't mean that much unless it's how I'm doing today. And I and I know that is one of our greatest gifts. I also believe that the greatest 12-step work in the world we can do today is walk the streets of our own hometown sober, with a smile on our face, and let other people know that we're happy being sober. That gift that God gave us, it's up to us to share it. To be humble, to be patient, to be kind is one of the most important things that we have to offer. And I know that we haven't used up a lot of your time, Mossy, but the absence of alcohol has set me free. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. God bless you and all the folks that were here to listen to us. And do you want us to say the Lord's Prayer, or do you want to?
We'll open it up to the floor for a few minutes.
Okay.
And, we'll get you to finish it off then.
I'm going to try to see if all my brothers can get behind me, where I don't know how much you can see of us, but. Oh, do you want to say hi to Rosie again?
No, I've already said hi.
Yeah, but you look so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Come on in. My daughter is here as well, and granddaughters. This is my daughter Kathleen. She's 17 months clean and sober.
Someone got me blank.
Nice. Congratulations, 17 months.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Well
good
done.
to see
Thanks
all
a
of you
million-
folks.
Thanks a million, folks.
All right.
Thanks
God
so
bless
much
the
for
Emerald
joining
Isle.
us.
I mean, they can still see. I don't know why
Oh.
they put things there. They can still see us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
no, no.
Okay. Go ahead, Mossy.
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for coming and joining us. I've had the privilege of meeting you and just feeling the energy that comes off a lot of you was just amazing. And I heard about you before I went to the States. And my dream was to to get to a meeting that you'd be at and hopefully talk you into joining our group. And you fulfilled that for me. And I know you work days. But between the lot of you there, you have 295 years sobriety. But if you want to break it down into days, that's 107,749 days of sobriety on the screen there. And those that tell you the day doesn't work and Zoom doesn't work, there's people sitting here from around the world today. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Nick, take it over there.
Right, thanks, Mossy. Thank you, the Hickins. What I've got from you is most of you said, I was in a meeting this morning and you're in one tonight. And that's what I aim to do. I said to my sponsor, how many meetings do I go to? He said, how often did you drink? I said, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And he said, well, 7 meetings a week at least.
Yeah.
And that's what I do today. I do a meeting at least 1 a day, some days 2, and your story, I identify with it all, And while you were talking, Tom, I think it's Tom, the last one, I looked at Mossy with his grandchildren and his daughter there, and I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of the meeting, and Blondine is going to read the promises.
There you go.
My name is Kathleen and I'm an alcoholic. If we're painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away.
Mexico.
Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurities will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
And thanks everyone for being here. Thanks, Kathleen, for the promises. I can't remember who done the preamble. Thanks everyone in the background. Thanks, Mick, for joining us this evening. And a special thanks to the Hickin family for joining us this evening. And there you go, Mick.
Reminder that we have a meeting on 7 days a week at 8:30 a.m. UK time. We also have a lunchtime meeting every Sunday at 1 p.m. UK time. This is a meditation meeting.
On Saturdays at 6 p.m. we have our old timers meeting and extended share recorded for the archives. On Thursday evening we have a meeting at 7:30 UK time. We use the same meeting code for all our meetings.
Stick around for fellowship after the meeting. If you want a breakout room after the meeting, please let the host know.
And that's it, the yellow card. Who you see here?
What you hear here,
When you leave here.
let it stay here.
And at that, we'll get the Hickin family to lead the results as they usually do. Over in the States, because we are stateside this evening. So take it away, guys, and thanks a million from the bottom of my heart.
And
from
mine.
the group, I'd say the very same as well.
Okay, our Father, who art in heaven,
Heaven.
hallowed be thy name. Thy
Thy
kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
And lead us not into
temptation,
temptation,
deliver us
deliver us from evil.
the kingdom,
And the kingdom,
and the glory forever.
forever.